What's up guys, in this video I'm comparing the Samsung Galaxy A52 5G with the Oneplus Nord N200 5G. These are two impressive phones for the price, and if you like videos comparing the newest smartphones, lower end, mid-range, flagships, I compare all of them in the specs. If you like those type of videos, consider subscribing to my channel. And for more videos, stay tuned. But let's get into this video between the A52 and the N200. So both of these phones compare very similarly. They both have 5G and they both come under $500 both. But the A52 5G could also be found for around $200 in prepaid market, while the N200 could be found for free and an unlocked price at $240. So both of these can be found for under $500 unlocked, but could definitely be found for a better price if you look on prepaid. So the A52 measures in at 6.3 inches tall, 3 inches wide, 0.3 inches thick. The N200 similar, 6.4 inches tall, 3 inches wide, 0.3 inches thick. They weigh exactly the same, both at 6.67 ounces, which is pretty light. Build quality, also same story, glass front, plastic back on both of these. These aren't made out of glass or steel or aluminum like some flagships or iPhones are, but for the price that's okay. One difference is the A52 has IP67 dust and water resistance, while the N200 does not have that. But one is around $500 unlocked, the other one is $240 unlocked. Both of these phones have the same size display. Both are at 6.5 inches, around 83 to 84% screen to body ratio. You have a Super AMOLED 120Hz display on the A52 versus the LCD 90Hz display on the N200. So both of these have a nice high refresh rate, and they're both pretty impressive. 120Hz for the $500 device and 90Hz for the $240 device. But when it comes to the resolution, they are very close. They're both 1080p displays, full HD, and the PPI is 407 on the A52, 406 PPI on the N200. So they have similar displays, very similar, but one is almost double the price of the other. As for software, you have Android 11 with Samsung One UI on top on the A52. You have Android 11 with Oxygen OS 11 on the N200 on top. The main differences between these is your choice of the skin. You know, if you like Samsung features and like to change a lot of things, then the Samsung experience is for you on the A52. But if you like a clean, close to stock version of Android, then roll with the N200 5G. Me personally, I like to have a clean, stock, fluid version of Android. Although, Samsung does offer a nice skin. This is the same software found on more expensive Galaxy devices. But both of these versions of Android and skins will be able to download and use all your everyday apps with no problem. You won't see any real difference in app compatibility. When it comes to the chipset, the A52 has a Snapdragon 750G, which is a mid-range, while the N200 has a Snapdragon 480 5G processor, which is a lower-end processor. Both of these, again, will not be flagship level speed and performance, but you'll be happily surprised running your apps and doing every day-to-day activities. One also thing I wanted to mention is that that Samsung is pushing several years of updates on its newer phones, but the N200 will only get one major update to Android 12, and that's about it. As for the internal storage, the A52 has starting off at 128 gigs, while the N200 is 64 gigs, but both use a microSD card slot. As for RAM, the A52 starts off at 6 gigs of RAM, and N200 4 gigs of RAM. Both of these amounts of RAM are good. 4 gigs is more than enough for most people, but 6 gigs of RAM is a welcome addition. It's more than 4 gigs. If you use a lot of apps, then I would suggest getting the 6 gig model. But I don't anticipate a lot of people maxing out the RAM on these devices. Now for the cameras, the A52 has a quad camera setup, 64 megapixel main, 12 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel macro, 5 megapixel depth. The N200, 13 megapixel main shooter, 2 megapixel macro, 2 megapixel depth. The can shoot 4K on the A52, 1080p on the N200. So the overall better camera is going to be the Samsung. Even in low light, this camera will perform pretty good, while the N200 will be average at best, but it really shines if you have enough lighting, because at low light it will not be good. For selfie, the A52 has a 32 megapixel shooter, while the N200 is at 16 megapixels. A52 is at 4K, N200 1080p. Selfie cameras are going to be okay, but the Samsung will give you better results. Both come with stereo speakers, and both come with a headphone jack, a welcome addition on mid-range to lower-end phones. As for Bluetooth and connectivity, you got Bluetooth 5.0 on the A52, 5.1 on the N200, but both of these will happily connect to your wireless devices such as smart bands, smart watches, wireless headphones, and speakers, for example. The A52 comes with NFC depending on your market or region, while the N200 does in fact have it as well. And both have the USB Type-C port for charging. Moving on to security and unlocking, big difference here. The A52 has a under the display fingerprint reader, while the N200 has a side mounted fingerprint reader. A in-display fingerprint reader usually signifies a mid-range to flagship level feature, so that's probably why the price is a little bit higher on the A52. But there's nothing wrong with the side fingerprint reader on the N200. As for battery, both of these have great battery, but the A52 only has 4,500 milliamps, which is okay. It'll last you maybe one full day and a little bit into the next, but the 5,000 milliamp battery on the N200 is the clear winner here. It'll get you 1, 2, 3 days of use probably, and that's just because of the lower end processor, and it's just a big battery in general. The A52 has 25% fast charging, which gives you 50% charge in 30 minutes. And the N200 also has fast charging, but at 18 watts. So what are my thoughts and opinions after comparing both of the specs on these devices? Well, the Samsung Galaxy A52 5G is going to be a very, very nice phone, but it comes at double the price of the N200. It has a better camera, it has more internal storage, it just has a very, very nice screen, and if you are really into the refresh rate, it has 120 hertz refresh rate. The software is good if you like Samsung, but if you're more on a budget, but you still like a nice refresh rate, you like a big battery and a clean version of Android, and the Oneplus Nord N200 5G is not a bad choice either. If I had to pick between these, the better overall device is the A52 5G, but the better value device is the N200 5G by a long shot. Tell me guys, which one would you rather have, the A52 or the N200, and why? You could send me a comment down below, or you could slide into my DMs on Instagram or Twitter. And if you please consider subscribing if you like to see phones being compared in specs. I compare on the reg every day, lower end, mid-range, and flagships. Thanks for watching guys. I'll see you in the next one.